Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. I'm Alex Whiteley. We will be joined by Shane at some point today. He's had the terrible, we've all been there, when you've opened up your laptop to do some work and it's gone, we've got to update and ruin your day. That's what's happening with Shane at the moment. But our guest is someone I've had on the show before, who I've spoken to many times, been on podcasts with, been in networking meetings with, and I've grown accustomed to speaking to from every time and again. But it's great because he's a great guy, and that's Ben Coates from Moogies Media. How's it going, Ben? You all right?
I think so. I think I'm okay. How about you, Alex?
I'm okay. Yeah, I am. I'm overwhelming myself, but I think I don't know why I do this to myself. I both love it and hate it at the same time. So between sort of Wednesday and Monday, I will have recorded 12 podcasts, I think, that will all need to be edited and all need to be released. But this is what I do. I enjoy it. So yeah.
I know you enjoy it, but you do have to have time to yourself, sir.
Yeah.
Your family, but you can only do a certain amount.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, and weirdly enough, it's kind of balanced out really well, actually, because Thursday night, sorry, should I say, we sat and we watched the new Justice League movie. You know, me and the wife, and we're going to Attingham Park tomorrow, so we got lots of stuff we can do. But I feel like the world is opening soon. The world is opening soon, and we want to be there. We want to show people that we can be a presence in Shrewsbury and in Shropshire as well, because the VMS is open to everybody in Shropshire. So, yeah, it's an interesting time. How have you been coping? Because last time I spoke to you was in the midst of lockdown. It was after the drive-in festivals. A very difficult time for folks that are trying to live off sort of events and the coverage of such.
I've been very lucky. I've picked up a contract on a motoring magazine called The Garage, and that's kept me busy a couple of days a week in their office, 2 or 3 days a week in their office, sometimes depending on the amount of work I have to do. So that's really fortunate. But however, all it's doing, of course, is covering debts that I've accrued during lockdown, like most people have. But I'm more fortunate than most, and I do feel very fortunate to have that contract come in during this time. And of course, I'm very grateful for that. Gratitude is obviously shouldn't be running the world. So yeah, I'm very, very fortunate. But I work in an office where all the dividers are in. It's very COVID safe. We're journalists at the end of the day, so we are a key worker status. Although I'd never put myself forward to anybody for the jab, just to let the people that know there's far more important people than me to have the jab. So we are counted as key workers. Very fortunate we can go and interact with the 4 or 5 people in the office. But as for the general work, that's still much the same. The odd flight here and there. A lot of walks up New Works. So like you with Atcham, we go up the place called New Works where there's mines and etc. So just I think we're getting through it. But probably more fortunate than most, Alex, if I'm honest with you.
I feel like it's good when you can create something like something like photography, media, podcasts, anything like. If you can art, music, if you can make something that you can just give to people at a safe distance, I feel like that is a lucky thing to have. Just letting Shane in now. I feel like we've been lucky that we've been able to sort of just carry on with Zoom and what have you. And the whole journalist being at work thing, I feel like it's really important as well, because, we have recently just been to Shropshire Floats in Middle. We set up a social distance interview. When I say social distance, we were spread out like across the business. It was close to the public. But this is the things that we need to do to try and give local businesses a bit of a boost. And the whole journalist part of the press type thing is something I would say is something that covers me, I guess. I know I did kind of feel guilty about it, but at the same time, doing my part, it's a weird thing to have, isn't it?
But you're right. I mean, yourself, you're offering a service to Shrewsbury, and you've probably kept a lot of people's mental health in good condition by listening to your stories, because stories sell at the end of the day. At the Biscuit, you've done a lot of good, and that shouldn't be underestimated. And we've had many a conversation, Alex, as well. And we, quite often we check in with each other. You okay? How's things, etc. It's important to have that community feel without being in the community. I mean, the automotive magazine, the automotive industry has stayed open during the last two lockdowns. So again, I'm very fortunate because you still need your car. If the car isn't roadworthy, you can't drive. Again, you're off the service, but you don't want to go too deep, and you want to keep people smiling, you want to keep them happy. And I'm in the automotive community, you're in the Shrewsbury community, and you are helping people. They listen to that podcast, they can't wait for your podcast to come out. I had when I come on the original podcast with your good self, I had great feedback from people. Listen to your podcast, it was great with Alex and Biscuit. Yeah, I mean, you're on, as you know, you're on my iPhone and walking the dogs. You're quite often in my ear, but you won't walk the dogs for me yet. But that's something else. So yeah, it's about offering that service, and I don't think what is happening now. The people that are keeping people going. I don't think that the full respect will be for another 2 or 3 years when we're back in normality. And I think, wow, remember what they did. So it's been appreciated, but I think there's more to come for the appreciation of what people do offer communities.
Yeah, just rocking up into the show. I was just telling people about your the typical open up your laptop windows going update first. Is Mr. Shane Hinton? You all right, Shane? Can't hear you. Are you muted? We can hear you.
Now, doesn't this sum up lockdown?
No, his mixing board's like, nope, can't hear you. Go to where it says mute, bring up the arrow, and then select the mixer as a microphone.
Can hear me?
Yeah, there we go. Here he is.
It's because StreamYard and Zoom seem to work differently. I have to put different settings in, and obviously the last time I used this was on StreamYard. So
yeah, it's okay. We can hear your beautiful voice now.
Thank you very much.
So
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. It's been a tough couple of weeks. It's been tough. I've been isolating, and I know it's lockdown, and we're kind of used to that life, now at the moment. But I don't know. It's just once you're isolated, and you actually have to stay in your house, for 2 solid weeks, especially when you've got a baby in a house. You miss going to the shop. I never thought that I'd ever get to the point where I was going to miss shopping. Having that independence to just be able to just go to the shop and get what you need and stuff like that. You having to call people. I mean, bless her, Kaz, Al's missus has been an absolute godsend. She's been running to the shop and dropping things off at my doorstep, and so is a couple of other friends as well. My mum as well. Because there's always something, isn't there? No matter how much you sit there and think about what you need, there's always something where you go, oh, damn it.
You know what, though, Shane? Very, very similar story. Our daughter is in a classroom bubble that's had to isolate. We've got 2 daughters, 6 and 8, and it's the 6-year-old. So the 8-year-old can still go to school. I can go around. But of course, the wife has had to stay in with little Georgie. We've kind of kept Touchwood quite healthy during the whole COVID crisis. As soon as the wife feels like she can't go out because she does have to fully isolate, she gets a cold.
Yeah,
it does drag you down. It does drag you down, the immune system and everything. It does bring that thing. So I mean, how can you tell a 6-year-old they can't even go out the house?
Exactly. I know. It's insane. And I've got a little 1-year-old in the house. My other 2 kids live with their mum. And she's done a sterling job. I've said before when we did the episode on parenting and teaching and homeschooling and stuff. I touched on it then. I was like, the kid's mum, who's my ex-wife, she's done a sterling job, absolutely sterling job. With homeschooling, she's got 3 key stages in one house on her own. I couldn't do it. I flat out, I'm like, nope. I wouldn't even know where to start. I would not know where to start. And she has done a sterling job. But my missus as well now, obviously mother of my youngest, he spent his entire life in lockdown. I've been working from home, so I've been chained to my desk, just like hammering away on my keyboard. And she's just been dealing with this baby. She'd never done it before, completely independently on her own. And this last couple of weeks being locked down, having to isolate has been particularly hard. This lockdown's been hard anyway, but being isolated within that lockdown, if you know what I mean, it's been tough. it's been tough. But today is our first day of freedom, so I took the baby went to his nan's, who's our bubble anyway, and I took the missus out to go and get a coffee and something from Starbucks. So that was nice.
This is called wind. This is wind.
Yeah, literally.
This is the sun. These are trees. These things are trees right now. Like Ben behind him right now. He looks like he's falling.
Yeah. Honestly, we went out and we were like, this is weird. Like, why are we outside? Like, talking to people as well. It's like, what?
Have you ever? I know you're meant to be interviewing me, but probably just have you ever experienced anything like this? Do you think, Shade? You ever experienced them kind of feelings before?
As in
the fact that you can't do anything.
No, not in my lifetime.
No.
And to be honest, I mean, I heard somebody say something the other day, and I'm kind of split about it, if I'm honest, because he turned around and said to me, it's an older guy, and he said, this lockdown's terrible, and he said, some would even say it's worse than the war. And I was sat there and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, it's not near. But then he then went on to say that he said, because at least with the war, you knew what was happening, you knew where it was, and you could see it. You know, it's a physical thing. You know, you could see the war. You know, and you could see the effect it's having and stuff like that. He goes, with this, it's invisible. It's anywhere. It can be anywhere and everywhere. And I was like, I didn't necessarily agree with him, but it just sort of made me sit there and think about it for a minute. And I was like, you know,
I got away to so I spoke to a wonderful person on What's the Difference, my other show, called Dr. Joanna Dodd Massey, and she was fantastic. And she wrote a book about what's going on with COVID at the moment, and the way she explains it is, and it's very important for people to understand this, is when we talk about the pandemic and the way people are feeling towards it, like you said, Ben, sort of this feeling of not being able to do anything. We are grieving the loss of our former lives. So in actual fact, about 90 to 95% of the whole world are suffering depression brought on by grief right now. And once we start to understand that, I feel like there are steps you can take to sort of make things better, because, Ben, you can't do the flower show, you can't do Oktoberfest at the moment, you can't. That's your livelihood, that's what you're doing, that's what's been taken away from you. And it's a hard thing to grasp, but the whole world has been affected. But people like Ben, you're saying you've accrued all these debts because you can't go out and work at the moment, and the little bits of work you can do, or just pay, you're just treading water basically, aren't you?
You are you're catching up. And people say, the economy back at the level it was pre-pandemic. We shouldn't be at that level. If the world ran correctly, we'd all be ahead of the game anyway. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's a test. I mean, the 6 and 8 year old, I'm not too fearful for their future. I think they've probably learned new skills that they wouldn't have done. I've got a 15-year-old lad from a previous relationship. That's the one I feel for, because it is vital. His schoolwork is vital at this time. But as for the 6 and 8 year old, it's an adventure. As long as it doesn't go on for too much longer, it's an adventure.
And something as well that occurred to me as well was somebody's pointed out that what we're living through now is going to be in the history lessons in the future. So when my kids start growing up and start being aware of what's going on and stuff, they would turn around to my grandkids and be like, do you remember the pandemic in 2020? I'll be like, yeah, I lived through that. You will not believe. And I'll be able to start exaggerating it and be like, oh, you'll not believe what I had to go through. You kids nowadays.
We had to go through Joe Wicks.
Alex could be Uncle Albert. During when
I was out in Malaya.
I got dusted off my microphone and I went out there with my broadsword. Well, it was actually a broadsword, and what I meant is my voice. I went out with my voice and I told people, hey, make sure you wear a mask. That's what I said.
But it's true though, and this is experiences that we're living through now, and we'll be talking about it when we're older, the same way as I talk to older people now about the war and what they remember about it, and obviously I'm in two minds. I need to think about it a bit more, really, whether the two things are comparable, because
they're not.
I do think
not.
War is a lot more devastating. Of course it is, but
people were repressed for years.
Of course. But what I mean is the actual personal effect it has on the individual, if you know what I mean. Do you know what I mean? Like you got people that are dying that you know, people that you don't know that are dying, thousands and thousands, and the people having to stay in your houses and all that kind of stuff. I mean, the physical dynamical changes that's happening within your personal life is probably not far removed from the general civilian in the war kind of thing, if you know what I mean. Of course, obviously, war is devastating. I'm not saying that like I'm digging myself a hole here, aren't I?
Yeah, we are. Let's talk about Moogies Media. What have you been doing apart from working? Obviously, the bits that you can be doing. What have you been doing to sort of build infrastructure for yourself, Ben, for when the world does open?
So I was very fortunate to get a March's Growth Hub grant for equipment. So I've improved the video cameras, improved the digital camera. I've also been doing a lot on my own SEO, Google My Business, etc. Working with a joint friend, Alex, Mr. Goff, who I know you know, Chris, and he's a very good chap. He's helped me through this as well.
Yes. CGR.
CGR business, I know he's helped you as well, and obviously you've checked him out on the podcast. So I've been fortunate. I'm surrounded with good people through the networking I do. And when I say networking, I don't just mean the business networking, the events networking. Alex, for example, us meeting, good people like that. I've kept in touch with the events industry that I know, the people that really do rely on events, and make sure they're going to get through it. Because I'm very fearful that we're going to get back to an events industry without experience, and that is a very, very dangerous situation to be in.
Mm-hmm.
But fortunately, a lot of my good friends that are in the industry do seem to be seen through it, and are now looking forward again, which I'm absolutely delighted about. So, I mean, I'm looking forward. I don't think we should ever look back and think what we had, because that's gone. It's never going to come back. However, what we have to do, and it's a bit like the scenario you just said, Shay, we have to look forward. We can still, in this situation, we can still dictate what we're doing, we're in control. In a war, you're not in control. In this war, we are in control of what our own things, what we can do. And I hope, I really can't wait to get back. I don't think the events industry and the theatres and the music has ever been appreciated as much as it is now.
Yeah.
And I just hope people get out there, take advantage of that. Go and see these acts, go and see these people, interact with them, support them, and show them love like they've never shown them before. Because if we lose some good people, it's very hard to get back, because there's nobody to learn from.
Well, this is why it's important to showcase the people that were there doing it when things were good. I mean, we're speaking to Trevor from Stage and Studio Services, who do an awful lot of the stage work for events not just across the county, but across the country. They're doing an amazing job. And I spoke to him during the Shropshire virtual show, because he did all the lights and stuff for that, and that's how we got talking. And he was mortified by what's been going on, because like that is his bread, that's his lifeline right there. And we were just talking about, I think I mentioned it on the last two shows with D. It was about the Granada Theatre in Shrewsbury. They're on about sort of knocking chunks of it down and building. I keep saying stuff, which is Bingo Hall now, just up from the train station. That's the Granada Theatre. I feel like there's opportunity there for because I feel like the arts industry were treated so badly. So badly that there's an opportunity there to pay it back, give it back. Like, let's help these people that make people's lives a little bit better. Actors, stage and studio services, events, journalists like yourself, Ben. There's a huge group of people that are. I'm rambling.
No, I know. I know what you're saying. I mean, I've also, I don't think you'll ever forget the people that have supported you in this pandemic. I mean, I've done a lot for a couple of my clients. I don't mind naming. One is Human Results, fantastic HR business in Telford, and we've done so much together. But it's stuff that we never would have done previously, and who knows what it's going to be like? Because it's all, once you do the stuff, it's always there. I did a lot for Rent Space, help Rent Space rebuild their website with videos. I never forget them people that have seen, that have supported you in it. I do a lot of white boxing editing in the farming industry. Again, I won't name the company because I go in as obviously under their brand. But never forget that they've still passed me work during this pandemic. And I think those relationships now will be built upon, and we will have a smaller but a stronger economy. And I think a lot of the wastage, which always happens in an economy, will disappear. But I just want to get back out there with the drone and the cameras. If I'm honest with you,
it's the age-old adage, isn't it? Really, it's like, if you're able to survive in business or in anything really through a sort of environment like we're experiencing in the last year, then it's a foundation to grow from, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's only gonna get better. Eventually, obviously, the world's going to open up, which means essentially your market's going to open up again, and it's just sky's the limit.
But with the biscuit being as big as it is without lockdown, probably not, because people have had time to listen to it.
I mean, 2020 was going to be our year. We had a lot of planned for 2020.
Yeah.
But then a lot of that had to be put on hold. But I mean, we then adapted. There was a lot of. I remember when the first lockdown come round, me and Al had a lot of conversations about what are we going to do, how we're going to do
still
this.
do. We still procrastinate every week.
Well, yeah, hopefully you do brainstorm, because that's what it's about. But I mean, podcasting's been around for ages, as we all know. But now people understand what the benefit of a podcast is, and you're always selling the benefits. It's that words in your ear, it's that positivity, it's that mental health situation. And as I said before, the podcast done a tremendous job, and I actually think that you've been one of the real local good stories during the podcast, and not just because you've grown, but because what you've done for others.
Yeah,
it's what we always wanted to do. Yeah. We always wanted to be positive, okay? Because like you do. There's been so much negativity throughout, not just throughout lockdown. I mean, lockdown, I think the reason why a lot of stuff that was magnified the way it was during lockdown is because people were just attached to the news and their phones and stuff. Outrage became such a huge, quick thing. So it was, the Harry and Meghan thing. Oh my God, it's this crazy thing. And then 5 minutes later, it's gone. It's just what's next? Oh my God, they did WAP at the Grammys and it's gone. It's just a crazy scenario right now. We just want to give people something good to listen to and feel good about, and I feel like we've managed to do that. And to answer your question about would the biscuit have grown so much without the pandemic, I remember I had a complete meltdown at the beginning because our listener base disappeared. All of our listeners disappeared.
Dropped.
We've gone from having 1,000 downloads a week, easy, to a month. It was just crazy. It went down. It just dropped, and I was just like, "Oh my God, what are we going to do?" So to these guys and the You Suck guys, I can't use the new phrase that we're using for You Suckers. But those guys, they picked me up, because I was on my chin straps, and I do get like that from time to time.
He does.
But then it returned. It came back, and it did come back bigger. And I think that's because we had this Zoom, StreamYard, and we could just make shows whenever we wanted. We didn't have to we'll meet you at the studio on Tuesday at 6:00. We'll be there. No, I'll meet you on Zoom in an hour. Let's do it. It's accessible.
Yeah. And actually, that literally happened as well with the homeschooling one, wasn't it? When we had the teachers on, literally, Al messaged and just said, "I think we need to do something on this," and I said, "I agree." I said, he goes, "I'm thinking this night." I said, "I'm free, yeah, let's do it." And literally, he put a post out, and I think literally within an hour, 2 hours, we got 2 guests on. A day later, we did the podcast. Done.
Have you not just described the grieving process though, Alex? Even with a podcast, straight away people just want to hide, not interested to listen to anything. They think you're going to talk about the pandemic, which of course you've done very little of, and then all of a sudden they pick it back up, and then of course they will go to this because they're positive. Go to this, and suddenly rather than people just listening, they're spreading the word for you. I think that's fantastic, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of word of mouth that goes on in Shrewsbury. There's a lot of promoting. Shrewsbury is one of those towns that word of mouth is a viable, marketplace, marketing strategy.
Well, I live in Telford, Shane. Sorry about that. I will get over that.
That's a shame.
That's your problem, isn't it?
Yeah. I tell you one thing I do. Whenever I go to events and things, people in Telford expect it for free.
Yeah.
And the council, the Telford and Region Council, are forced to put them on for free. So there's no village in there. There's no system in there. You know, to get a coffee, you have to run over the centre. To go to the loo, you have to run up the road, etc. But in Shrewsbury, people are almost willing to pay for having the village in the quarry. You know, and that's the kind of community that they've got. And all of a sudden, then you've got people that don't go to one or two events. They spread the word, and that's what happens. Shrewsbury's fantastic for events. I love that. Although the band could be a slightly less grade, but I do love Shrewsbury. We run up and down that quarry bank quite a few times.
Al knows about that when he used to have the mixer, which I've actually using now. We've got our old mixer that I use, and I used to have his big bag, his suitcase thing, and he used to trudge up Wild Cop.
And, it was on wheels. Yeah. It wasn't too bad. I didn't look like a Ghostbuster lugging up a proton pack up and down.
It wasn't far off, though, mate. It wasn't far off.
Can you imagine having that strapped on your back and all the wires sticking out and be like, wait for the biscuit?
you turn up to interviews sweating. I
did do that.
Should we come do this podcast?
But I do want to get back to times like again. I do want to have a studio at some point, but at the moment it's better just to do this as a Zoom thing. When it comes to word of mouth and positivity, there are a few champions out there in Shropshire that I've been constantly seeing the same names pop up again. And Ben, you are so well connected with the networking you do and the events that you cover. Can you think of a few people in Shropshire that have just gone above and beyond to keep the good spirits alive?
Well, I'm going to say first, Alex, I don't think she needs any big intro. Our Beth and Sid Heath from Shropshire Festival.
Beth, yeah, amazing.
I mean, what she did in the summer, the driving events, to put them on, to put the events on, and the whole team around it. You've got the pro audio lads as well, Joe and Callum and people like that, and the volunteers that Beth gets involved as well. That team was amazing to put on the events, and it lifted the spirits of thousands of people. And again, you saw the same few people there as well. Again, there was kind of a supportive crowd there. I kept sitting next to Alex and his good family as well, so that's how we kind of connected.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's obviously there's the people that are involved. Alistair Hobbs is a good friend of mine from New Results, and he's kept people. HR strange because they've now gone from we have to keep the discipline, we have to keep sacking people, etc. to we need to look after people, the whole HR world. But Alistair's always been like that, so it's been an easy transition for him. So him and his team have done wonders as well. The guys over at Renter Space and Climbing Walls, how difficult has their situation been? To keep it open, to keep the Climbing Walls place open, to keep the offices open at Renter Space. But anybody in hospitality, I feel sorry for. And I do hope that they stick with it. As I said, the biggest thing for me is just don't give up. If you've gone and done something else, great. But please don't give up. And all the acts that we saw at the drive-in, which we know many of them, people like the Rocking Scoundrels who were always around trying to cheer people up, Paul and the boys and Ant and stuff like that. The Mikey O'Donnell and the Gravity Live group, they're actually from Manchester, but I speak to them quite a lot. They're very supportive as well. Just anybody who has kept us going, anybody who's been out there, anybody who's been positive, done what they can, but most importantly, done it safely. Because no matter what we do, we have to respect the virus. If we don't respect the virus, it won't respect us.
Exactly.
And that is one thing that we do. But we can't. It is a balance. So anybody who's done anything out there, all the event organisers, all the hospitality crew. And then I'd just like to say my disappointment that some of the horses at Cheltenham this week you haven't won for me. That's a separate thing from that. So
my wife was. She likes to bet for the underdogs, the 100-1 horses out there that would just no light chances to win, and then she gets disappointed that they didn't win. I was like, well, that's the point. I think you're spot on there with the whole. Let's be positive. Let's try and get through this because I feel like even the strongest minds out there, the strongest people out there that have carried on and have done great things need a support base around them. They need someone to be like, no, come on, man, you've got this. And I've been very lucky to have that with a biscuit. And amongst ourselves, we look after each other as a team. Like if one of us is down, we'll pick him up. And that's really important, isn't it? How do you reckon things are going to open up? Because obviously we've got this roadmap thing that's going on now. And what's your predictions? It's hard to predict anything at the moment, but what do you reckon is going to happen or change as well?
Well, I think the roadmap is great, but I think the biggest key date for anybody is 3 to 4 weeks after their own jab. That is the biggest date for any of you. Once you've had a jab, 3 or 4 weeks later, you're going to feel more confident. And I've spoken and worked with people that have had the jab, and that is the case. And then, of course, you have your second one, which gives you more immunity. But I mean, respect the people that haven't had the jab so far. So keep the social distancing because it will get us all back quicker. I think the roadmap will slip. I think it will slip. I think it's a great to have the roadmap, but don't be worried if it slips a week or two here and there. It's there. It's in place. We're not going to go backwards now. I don't think. Touch wood. So just go and support the events. Go and listen to the organisers because they will have spoken to health and safety. They'd have spoken to environmental health. They'd have spoken to everybody you think of, and the measures that are in place will ensure that show can open. If people go and don't adhere to the rules, that show will be closed down during its show, and that is horrible for the organisers who have probably put their lifelines on the line, so to speak. So just go out there, go and support them, enjoy, but do stick to the rules that are put there because they will be there for a reason. Because funnily enough, isn't it funny that the people that are against everything are then against lockdowns? They don't social distance, they don't want the vaccine, but they're against lockdowns. The answer's there. So just go and stick to the rules, enjoy it, stick to the rules, have a good time, support all the people there, because we know many of the people that be at the flower show, be at the food festival, that'll be at Oktoberfest, that they need the money coming in more than ever because as I say they're paying. They're not. You're not supporting shareholders, you're supporting their mortgages.
I feel bad because me and Shane got a little taste of the flower show. We got like a shot rather than the bottle. We had a little shot, a little sip, a little sample cup that you get from the old days in the supermarket. Want to try our cheese? That's what we had at the flower show because we went there, we enjoyed it, and we haven't been back since. And Oktoberfest too. They're my two favorite things that happen: the flower show and Oktoberfest. So I can't wait to get back to it. I mean, we were talking about what we want to do personally away from business. What's the first thing you're going to do when lockdown ends, Ben? What do you want to go and do?
Pub.
I'm
joking.
What was that? Well, yeah, I suppose it is get on the boat at Iron Bridge and sit by the river and have a pint. But other than that, it's just that I want to go on walks rather than. I love new works, but when you're going there once, twice a week and nowhere else, so I'd like to get back into the National Trust places, because I'm not one of these that will travel without a purpose at the moment. Because I just don't think it's right. So I can't wait to get to there. We've got the Wrekin to be able to. I haven't been up the Wrekin during lockdown because so many going up there and they're all parking in different places. So I've stayed away. So it's just somewhere to go different, get out in the fresh air. See friends again, see friends and have that conversation. Spend some money. I don't mind. I wouldn't mind. I'm not talking hundreds of pounds. I'm talking, the £2 for a coffee and the £2 for a bag of sweets with friends that have got businesses. That's what I'm really looking forward to. And I mean, September. From August, September, it's just going to be mad. You could go to an event a week. But just go and enjoy them. The 90s Revival lads are going, trying to get events up all the time as well. We both know them, and they've worked. They're one that should really be praised during lockdown. Actually, Alex, I didn't forget about the 90s Revival boys, but what a phenomenal job they've done.
Yeah, I love those guys a bit. They've been very supportive. That's what I love about them. I've got the hat somewhere. They give me a hat. Should probably have worn that today. That'd be quite cool. But they've been very supportive of me. I've been supportive of them. That's a Shropshire thing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
They've just invited me to a birthday. What is it? The 90s Revival birthday show for Cancer Research UK. They just invited me to that. There you go. They're like, we're doing this amazing thing. We want to take Alex with us. 90s Revival. They're great at doing what they do. Shane, I'm going to throw the same question to you, Shane. First thing you're going to do when lockdown ends? I know you said pub, but
I don't know actually. Probably pub. I want to take the missus out. I want to take the kids to the beach.
Oh, that's a good one. Go to the beach. But everyone's going to do that, though, aren't they? Are you going to?
Yeah, that's the thing. but just take the kids to places. I mean, obviously, as I've sort of alluded to earlier, my kids live with their mum, and I have them, on sort of occasions, regular visits. So obviously, just having them sat in the house and not really doing much, because I mean, there's only so much walking around Hormond Hill and around the local area that you can do, and eventually a 5-year-old and 8-year-olds could be like, "Dad, we've already done this loads of times, so can we do something else?" I'm like, well, I don't really know what else to do.
It's getting like that with Attingham Park, as it is. Like, Timmy's been around Attingham Park so many times. I'm pretty sure he's covered every millimeter of Attingham.
He's probably named all the kids,
That's it by name now, yeah. There's Eric, dear.
That's Eric, yeah. And this is it. So I think I want to be able to take the kids to places, go and do stuff with them, take them to events. One of the things I really wanted to do was take them to Warwick Castle.
Nice.
And see him doing the battle role play stuff and things like that. 'Cause I think my lad would really enjoy it. But obviously, up until this year, I haven't been able to do that sort of stuff. And also, I think I want to start getting Isaac socialised. He's 5 weeks old when we went into lockdown, and he literally has been in. And luckily, he's got his older brothers and sisters, so like he's
got a head start then.
He's all right, yeah. But he's not really been around anybody else apart from my direct family and my missus' mum. That's it. That's all he's really it's all he's really been around. So I kind of want to take him to some like stay and play places and do stuff like that. But no, for me personally, I think it's going to be pub. Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I keep changing my answer because there's so much I want to do, but I'll add on to my answer earlier of one, going to Wales to go and give my kids a hug and take them out and scoop them up, bring them here. I'm going to add on to that people watching in a cafe.
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Those beautiful days. I used to love that. That was the best thing I used to do. My wife was at work. Timmy was at school. I'd scoop up my laptop and some headphones, go sit in Stop Cafe or House Coffee in Coleham and just sit there and edit and just watch people and let people think I'm a weirdo because I've been sat there for 2.5 hours editing.
One of the best coffee shops I've ever been to, right, was in Birmingham. And I cannot remember the life of me what it's called, right? But it was like upstairs and there was like the ceiling to floor window. And you could sit right next to this window overlooking essentially like Pride Hill. And
their version of Pride Hill.
Yeah, all day. Literally all day, just sat like a bird's eye view, watching these people just walking around. And I was with my mate, and I was making like these little, start like commentating them, being like giving them like little voices and like little scenarios. You see a bloke and a woman having a row, so you start being like making these stories up around them. It's best fun ever. So yeah, I'm with you on that one now.
Have you ever been in there when there's two of you doing it? then it gets confusing. You don't know if you're watching them or they're watching you. And honestly, you won't get to get the drink at the same time. You won't go have the same piece of cake, and then you wonder who's watching who. By the time you know, it's time to go home.
I got a funny story from when I was in Ireland. So I went to go see my dad in Ireland in Bantry, and I was going to go meet him in the cafe he worked at. At the time, Organico, right? And I was upstairs, and Sue, my stepmom, was in the kitchen baking. That's what they did. And she was like, "I'll be out in a bit, and I'll walk you to the house." But your cousin Laura's up there. I hadn't seen Laura since I was about 6 or 7. I can't remember what she looked. I don't know what she looks like as an adult. And she was like, "Yeah, she's up there. Make sure you say hello." And I was just like, I was looking around like, "Are you my cousin? Are you my cousin?" And then this woman just come and sat on my table. "All right, Alex." And I was like, "Hi, Laura. I'm so glad I saw you there." It's just such a weird thing.
It's in the world of my own.
Yeah. It was hilarious. People watching in a cafe is one of my favorite things to do. Just being there and just being around people. I've got an important question for you, Ben. There's going to be a lot of people now that have learned new skills during lockdown with a camera, maybe with a drone, maybe looking at doing what you do right now. What advice would you give to, I say young, but it might not be young. Bearing in mind, we've been in lockdown. There's a lot of people learn new skills. Anybody that wants to step into your field, what would you say as bits of advice to get started?
Be different first. Have a USP. Don't go and follow somebody else because that's the worst thing you can do in business. If you do the same as what everybody else has done, you're just chasing their tail and you're always going to be behind them. Drone wise, get the qualifications, get the insurances. You've got basically an aircraft in your hand, and there's laws. And the strange thing about the drone world is that it's not policed by police; it's policed by the CAA, the Civil Aviation Authority. As soon as you take off from that ground, you're under their laws, and they are a serious organisation. Quite rightly as well. Any little crash has to be reported to the AAIB, which is the Air Investigation Bureau, even for a drone. And this is what people don't realise. They get the drone and think it's a toy. It can be deadly. If that drops out of the sky, if anybody's under it, so do get trained, do all the qualifications, the operations manuals, get them done by professionals. And this is the problem with the drone world. The drone world has always suffered from Gatwick, the incident at Gatwick.
Yes,
there was never ever a drone found. Now, I'm not sitting here saying there wasn't one, but if you think about it, how can a pilot see a drone when they're doing 600, 700 miles an hour in their aircraft that big? They can't. So there's two problems there. Firstly, was there a drone? Secondly, the airplane can't see it if it is, and it's just going to, it could be very, very critical. So these courses are immense. So anybody that's entering the drone world, go and get trained. There's new things coming out, and I don't know whether you've seen it, DJI FPV, which is first person view. And you're in the goggles with the joystick.
Yeah, I saw a clip of some guy did a bowling alley of that.
Yeah,
it looks amazing. Yeah,
my brother's got one of them.
But it is again. I wouldn't take on that at the minute. I would train on one. Don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't go out in public at the moment with it. I've never flown it, but how can I like to see my aircraft again? So, but again, it's that's very much on the gaming side of things. It's very much on that side, and that will bring the people that don't want to do the training on board. Now, if that gets up to 60 miles an hour, if that suddenly hits you, again, you haven't got much chance. If that hits you in the head, you haven't got much chance, have you?
Yeah.
So it's the best. It's the best industry in the creative world without a doubt. Because it's an aircraft, but it's also the most dangerous industry in the world. So, I mean, my USP, Alex, just to let people know, is that I do videos, I do photos from the ground, but so do many others. My USP is the drone. Now, I know other people do the drone, but I like to combine the two. You quite often get a drone pilot and a creative person. I combine the two. So my drone the drone footage has the videos. But for God's sake, people, go and get trained. Don't just pick a drone up because there's God forbid you hurt anybody. And it's always the people that don't want to hurt anybody that do. It's just they've been a little bit lax.
Yeah. Yeah. Very important advice. Yeah. Those first person ones, they're scary. You'd need a spotter, wouldn't you? Because if you're looking down the barrel and you can't see your peripherals and you're like, hey, look at this, we're great. And you can't see it's at the side of you. And all of a sudden you're flying into a group of children or something. Not that you would do that, but I mean, like, you've got to have someone there watching the craft for you, haven't you? I suppose it's a weird situation.
Well, if you think about the money spent in the drone world, and the drone world's only going to grow, this is really at the start of the drone world. But if you think about it and you fly in, and all of a sudden you see your camera, because you can only see the camera, all of a sudden the camera flips out because you haven't noticed the branch coming out of that tree or something. Gee whiz, you've lost a lot of money.
Yeah.
Lost a lot of money that you can't afford and things like that. So, this is the great things, isn't it, with a lot of technology. They look like toys, toys. And I'll admit, they are at times, if I'm honest with you. I have some great fun with it, but you have to be safe. Whatever you do, you have to be safe with it.
All this talk about Amazon dropping things off with octocopters and stuff. And I heard these stories about they're going to start using them in airports if they don't already. Giant, like, drone type vehicles that can lift full pallets of stuff and move them around the airport. And that's where it's going. It's great to see that. I mean, we're living in the future, baby.
Well, we're probably where we thought we would be in about 5 years' time. We're probably there now in a lot of things.
And that's because of the pandemic. There's lots of things that have been made remote because of what's going on. Right, look, we're running out of time because we're going to be speaking to Sarah from Life of Riley next. It's Pet Bakery, which is going to be fun. But Ben, as always, thank you so much for coming to talk to us. You're always welcome to come on. And catch up. Shane, thank you so much for getting your machine to work.
Yeah, it's all right. It's just Windows, isn't it? It's just
You can catch up on the first half on Apple Podcast.
Yeah.
Shane, make sure you listen to the Shoes and Biscuit podcast. And Shane, if you can't find the links on Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, wherever else you get your podcast, you can also check on our website. Did you know that? It's at the shoeswithbiscuitpodcast.co.uk. And Shane, did you also know that website is made for us by Web Orchard?
Is it, mate?
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. I tried putting the banner behind me. You guys can't see it. Maybe if you follow us on Instagram, to display the Shoes with Biscuit name, but it's that tall. All you can see is Web Orchard and Love Shrewsbury behind me. Well, yeah, that's who's responsible for that website. Guys, as well, before we get out of it, sponsorship. We are looking for sponsors now. We can take on sponsors. If you would like us to sponsor your business during these shows, and tell people about what you do. We don't charge very expensive prices. We just want to make the show sustainable. We are a CIC. Doesn't go to line the pockets of all Whiteley over here. It goes to keep us with subscriptions, to help with our media and to replace battered old equipment like the mixer that Shane's using right now. So if you do want to get involved, get in touch with us because we appreciate that. Guys, this has been great. Swore. That's the second show in a row I've swore. Ben, could you tell people where your website is and how they can get in touch with you before we get out of it?
Yeah, the Moogies Media, MOOGIES media.co.uk. Go there. There's I blog quite a lot as well on the website. There's a lot of media, and there's also links to media. Whatever I do, if I can, I will put it on YouTube. So search Moogies Media on YouTube and view the videos that I do. Although a lot of them at the moment are literally slides over the podcast.
Podcasts.
Podcasting's great, but I want to get out there and do some filming.
Yeah, of course. We want to make some vlogs. That's where we want to go. If you want us to come and do a vlog of anything, anywhere, guys, if you're listening to this and you want us to come to your business, if you want us to come to, I don't know, an event or anything like that, and to bring cameras and to get some vlogs made, we can do that for you as well. All right, let's get out of here. I've got to let this audio render. This has been the Shoes with Biscuit podcast. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
Peace out.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. Peace out.